La 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 la. Revolução aconteceu, é nova forma de cantar. Harmonias se sucedem como ondas a levar a poesia tão bonita que vai dar o que falar. O mundo inteiro está cantando. Já percebeu também todo o calor que o novo samba tem. Bossa nova é harmonia nova. Bossa nova é poesia nova. Bossa nova é cadência nova. Bossa nova é paixão, emoção, evolução. O mundo inteiro está cantando. Já percebeu também todo o calor que o novo samba tem. Bossa nova samba é. Bossa nova é harmonia nova. Samba, samba, samba. Bossa nova é poesia nova. Samba, samba, samba. Bossa nova é cadência nova. Bada, 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 ba. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Hello, Internet. My name is John Kulas. I am a 20-year professor of industrial and organizational psychology, 10-year user of R for statistical applications, and for the last 7 or 8 years, I've also been using R to author things like reports, slide decks, academic manuscripts. And so every week I get together with some collaborators who just kind of pop by if they're available and interested. And we just hang out and make ourselves available. If anyone is out there who stumbles across this who might have an interest in using R as an authoring platform. And so the co-host is here, I see. I'm glad he's here because I think we're going to spend a little bit of time tonight addressing a question that he had last week.
Vamos a ver, ¿qué es lo que pasa con los alcaldes? ¿Qué es lo que pasa con los alcaldes? ¿Qué es lo que... Sí, ¿qué está pasando con los alcaldes?
Now, Diego, do you notice what happened when you showed up here? Are you there, Diego? So Diego lives in New Jersey. I'm guessing these UFOs showed up just to make Diego feel at home, but maybe it's scaring him, so we'll get rid of those for now. See, if New Jersey could get rid of him that quick, although I think they did get rid of him, I think it sounds like all of the fun is over, which is kind of unfortunate. I was having fun watching that story. But so every week we get together and we are here. If anyone has any questions about using R as an authoring platform, if you want to make your own products, we're using this principle. I'm not sure if I'm using the phrase correctly, but there's this concept that I've been tracking as we've been implementing these work processes, these workflows. It's called literate programming. And I think I'm using it wrong or not in the way intended by the coiner of the phrase. But essentially what we're doing is we're just using the same platform to document our analyses as we're using to perform the analyses themselves. And it's just, I don't know how you could ever go back if this is a system that you kind of work to integrate within your work processes. It's It's it should be, everybody should be doing this.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, hey Diego. The
Oh,
UFOs didn't scare you, did they?
no, that's funny. Yeah, I don't know. People in New Jersey are a
And
little bit, like they say, Florida man. Like they just
yeah. Now, have you seen anything? Have you seen it? I forgot to ask you last week. I meant to.
no, but me and my brother we were thinking on assembling a drone just to troll people around.
I think that's a lot of what's going on, right? Unless it's magic pixie dust, maybe that we got going on. Okay, well, that's less exciting of an update than I was hoping for. I was hoping you were gonna, you know, say something like, "Yeah, that one in the middle up there, it kind of looks like the one that you know buzzed overhead or something." But that's okay. I guess I'm just happy that you and the family are safe. So that's a better way to look at it. So every week we hang out for about an hour or so, and we've also every week been kind of covering a different feature of R being used as an authoring platform. And for the last, I guess it says part 6 here. So this is about the most time we've spent on a single topic, I think, across these sessions. Um, but for the last 5 or 6 weeks, for the most part, Diego had a session in there on his favorite exploratory graph analysis as well. But that notwithstanding, we've been spending a lot of time on using this package called Survey Down, and Survey Down permits the authoring and launching and data collection of surveys. And so Diego and I and some of the other folks that tend to pop by, one of the primary methodologies that we use in our discipline of industrial psychology is survey research. It's a form of what's called non-experimental research, or the methods themselves are non-experimental. But we do a lot of surveying, so this is something that we've been really kind of, I think, keenly interested in seeing how it operates within R. And so
So
tonight,
it can be experimental if you put like a condition, like instructions. Uh, you get one survey and tell them to respond honestly, and then another one and ask them to fake, or one is like an English speaking person, and another one a Spanish speaking person, or something like that.
good point. Yeah, so that was it's actually a really good point. So one of the I don't know if they still do it, but when I was a younger professor, um, one of the I'm going to turn down my music a little bit. One, there's all kinds of textbook issues. One textbook issue that drove me nuts was the introductory level psychology textbooks will always have a methodology section, and almost always in that methodology section, they use the definition of validity that says, does a test measure what it purports to measure? That hasn't been the definition of validity for a very, very, very long time. But it persists in those textbooks. Another thing that persists is there's a conflation of experimental methodology with the form in which data is collected. So non-experimental methodologies for many years were used interchangeably with survey research, and I just probably did it myself. So I'm using myself as a pet peeve here. But that's a good point, Diego, because just because you use a survey to collect the data, it doesn't mean that the methodology necessarily is non-experimental. So, yeah, good point. You should get like a PhD or something. I'm pretty good at this stuff. Uh-oh. Did you go away again? So every
No,
week.
it's just so you don't hear the Millie with her little cartoons in the background.
Oh,
But
well,
yeah, I should definitely get a PhD.
you already got one. Kind of like the Holy Grail when they're at the French castle. Do you remember that scene? And they say that
Uh,
they're
Indiana Jones.
no Monty Python and the Holy
Oh,
Grail.
oh yes.
They're they're trying to storm the castle and the French won't let them in, and they taunt them, right? And so one of the things they taunt them with is the British guys are saying, "We're in search of the Holy Grail." The French guys say, "We already have one. We don't, we, you know, we have no need for it because we already have one." So you have no need for another PhD. You already got one. All right. So because the way that we explore these things is just kind of by the seat of our pants, every week we do a more linear outline as well to cover the stuff that did happen last week. And so let's get a little what happened last week transition.
Last time you remember, Rocky and Bullwinkle were shot high into the air in an elevator car.
That's funny. I could have swore I pushed the down button.
Higher than the clouds they soared, then suddenly began to fall, faster and faster. Meanwhile, 10,000 feet below, a huge truck roared through the countryside, piloted by the box-top bad man himself, Hemlock Soames, alias Boris Badenov, and his confederate Natasha Fatal.
Boris, darling, your plan worked. Moose and Squirrel are out of the way at last.
You said it, kiddo. If all went well, they should be in orbit by now.
But far from being in orbit, Rocky and Bullwinkle were approaching the Earth much, much too fast for comfort.
Well, I guess this is it, old pal.
It sure is. What?
The end.
Oh,
It's been swell knowing you, Bullwinkle.
it has, hasn't it?
I did actually cut those down a little bit. Pasquale made a good point. They're still a little too long, but I don't know. I love the transitions. So last week, as I said, was a continuation of our exploration into this survey down package. So some of this is going to be a little bit repetitive, and it's a lot to digest as well. So I'm going to spend, it takes a lot of time, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of interest in it, but I think it'd be a good resource, so I'm going to do it anyway. I cut up these live sessions that we do and do little more digestible kind of tutorials on something. And so this survey down tutorial is going to be an important one just because there is so much to it. The information you see here on lines 15 through 18, that's information that's taken from the Supabase service in website where we're hosting the data collection. That's information that's provided by them. Now there's also a password component. So it looks like I'm sharing information I shouldn't be sharing. First of all, there aren't that many people that stumble across our little corner of the internet here anyway. But secondly, that password, you wouldn't be able to do anything with this without the password. So the line 19 information, that's something that isn't provided by Supabase from their end of things. This is something that you provide, so you come up with a data table name, something that might be relevant for your purposes, and then when you access the data, you're going to use that name to access the data. That's how you're going to find the data itself. So far, and we've just kind of been playing with this for the first time ourselves, and so it looks like that data is exportable in two different formats, as a SQL file or as a comma separated variable file. If we were to expand our exploration into survey down past this week, and so Diego, maybe once we get going here, maybe you can tell me if you're interested in keeping going with this or if you want to go to a different topic. But if we
survey down is nice because it seems like you have something similar to Alchemy or Qualtrics at your fingertips, but you have more control over it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm intrigued for sure. We'll see how today goes, and we'll see if we can do some more fancy, complex things with it.
You can do like math symbols, equations, things like that with Qualtrics and Alchemy are kind of difficult to do.
Well, and not only that, but we can play with this if you want tonight too, but we can also put our objects in as a question type. So we could put in a leaflet map, interactive leaflet map. We could put in a plotly object, and these are because of the shiny element, there's reactivity to the survey. So if we wanted to, like I was looking at some of their tutorials, they have They have one example where they ask someone to put their name in a free field response
Yeah.
form, and then now that's available now to be used in the survey. So you can think of all kinds of neat, creative, atypical ways to incorporate some of ours powerful capabilities within the survey content itself. Now, you and I think we've both experienced this phenomenon. Is when you get a shiny new toy, you just want to you want to put it everywhere, and that's just because we can do it doesn't mean we should. But still, it's tempting. It's tempting.
The only problem here with survey is that you need a third-party website to store the data, and collect it. With like Qualtrics, it does it for you already.
Well, but and you don't need that either. So they're just recommending Supabase. But we could also host it ourselves on our own servers. So if we wanted to spend another couple of weeks on it, that's some of the stuff that we could look into. Is maybe some data security issues and hosting issues. Some of the more technical stuff that I don't know. It's not fun, but it would be informative for sure. Um,
So Supabase is just suggested, so you can just do it with survey now. It just stores it in a where.
Yep, what they recommend is there's a name for the type of database that they're using. It's a technical specification. It's called Postgres, I think. Postgres. Have you heard of this?
No. Oh yeah.
So, you and I currently don't have strong university affiliations. That would be something, if I was still a full-time professor, that would be something that I would be looking to reach out to, probably computer science, to see if they had a good grad student who could build us something like that. Maybe working as a research assistant. So, anyway, there's a possibility there to actually do your own database construction and then also store that information. The survey itself, we launched it, so this is a hyperlink if you follow the comments and want to go to the survey. We did have quite a few people take it, so thank you if you did take the survey. The Supabase site itself, what it looks like from our perspective when we go in there and grab the data. This is just a screenshot straight from my access to the Supabase account that I created, which was just their free account. And I don't know what sort of limitations there are on that, but if we were going to use this, if we were going to use Supabase and use this as a more kind of professional launch instead of just kind of test driving, I imagine there's going to be a paid tier on that as well. And then our friend Max, friend of the stream, Max, who pops by. He's been popping by pretty regularly recently, so hopefully Max pops by again. But he came up with a question last week for us, and it was E equals MC what? And so, this is perhaps why we as a species have not yet mastered intergalactic travel, Diego. Because Einstein, he had the right elements. He had energy, he had mass, he had the speed of light. He had the wrong multiplier. So when we looked at the data, it turns out that the speed of light should not be raised to the power of 2. It should be raised to the power of lemon popsicle. And that's what the majority of our very capable and bright respondents said. It's 2 to 1. Last time I looked at the data. So I don't know. It's one of those things in retrospect, you look at it and you say, well, how did we miss that? Of course. Speed of light raised to the power of lemon popsicle. That's what it should have been.
That makes me
Uh,
think that raised to the power of the temperature of ice, which would be 0 Celsius. And I don't know how much Fahrenheit.
well, isn't anything raised to the power of zero? Isn't it? Isn't the value one?
Yeah,
God,
so E equals 1.
I forget all of this kind of redundant or kind of basic level math stuff. Yeah, looks like raised to the power of zero is one. So at least I don't know. That's stuck in there somewhere. I don't know why that came up.
Only if you
Okay,
use Celsius. If it's Fahrenheit, it's going to be like, I don't know,
32.
so raised to the power of 32.
Or we could do Kelvin. What would that be? Kelvin absolute zero is negative 273 Celsius, right? Okay, freaking crying out loud. Look what happened, Max. You got to start talking lemon popsicle, and now now we're trying to make sense of what, of
I
why
actually
that.
use temperature when talking about levels, measurement levels of measurement, and about interval versus the interval ratio. I use temperature. That's a good example. But
And
zero is not a real zero for Celsius. It is for Kelvin, not for Celsius or Fahrenheit, though.
yeah, because it's got to be mapped to the complete absence of the thing that's being measured, right? And
Yeah,
so temperature is
and
actually molecular movement. Is that right? So
yes,
that's
in Kelvin.
negative 273, or no. So 0 Kelvin is negative 273 Celsius, right? So negative 273 is actually, why are we talking about this?
Yeah, no, the temperature of water freezing is in Kelvin is probably much, not as small as that. It's probably, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's still meaningful, but it's not mapping to the property, the essential property of the phenomena. Crying out loud. All right, so today, what we're gonna do, Diego, I'm glad you're here because I would, I'm very curious to see what your question type actually looks like. And so there's hyperlinks in here too. I think you and I will probably have to follow them to get some ideas from the survey down package authors in terms of how we might want to structure the item. Now I'm framing the type of item that last week you were interested in us maybe playing with. I'm framing it as one that's going to require some conditional logic to it. I'm not 100% sure that that's how we're going to structure it, but it looks to me like that's our best bet in terms of a first try. And then I was interested in putting images in to response categories. So instead of strongly disagree, neither, can we do Sylvester the cat and the Pink Panther and Snagglepuss or something? Pictures interest me, and this is just kind of one step toward that full R integration of presenting a plotly object or presenting a leaflet map or presenting something a lot more complex that we create using R. And then the one that should be, we already looked a little bit into this, so it shouldn't be that bad. But we can play a little more with the theming of our survey. And this is what the respondent experiences, things like font and size of questions and kind of how things are displayed. So thought we'd take a look at that. So Diego, maybe let's start, if you're okay with it, can we start with you kind of whiteboarding what that item might look like, and then we can see if we can integrate it into our existing survey, or if you want to just create a new survey, we could do that too.
Um, well, I'm using now because my headset broke. I have to get a new one, so I'm using my work laptop. So
Oh, that's fine.
I could actually, that's good because I could now show you the actual item, what it looks like.
Oh, okay.
Let me log into Alchemy very quick. Taking a minute, and I'll share screen.
Okay. And then let me see if there's any drops here that I haven't played yet that we got ready for. I think Katrina's going to be joining us soon. I spoke to her offline a little bit. Here's what Diego's doing behind the scenes here. Juggling a young family and trying to do R and coming up with brand new item types that people like me have never even thought of or heard of.
Okay, I got it. Let's preview. Okay. Let me share screen now.
By the way, I'm drinking hot chocolate. I was cheap and I went to Aldi, and Aldi had like a $2 10-pack of individual hot chocolate thingies. I don't recommend it. I should have splurged. Got a different hot chocolate.
So here are the instructions. So you will see two statements. Choose whether each statement is very unlike you, like you, or very unlike you. You cannot choose the same answer for both statements.
Oh.
So here's an example. So we have two statements. I would not attend a social event unless I know most of the people there, and I enjoy documentaries and educational programs, especially about unfamiliar subjects. So if you choose like very unlike me for the first statement, you cannot choose it for the second one. But you can choose either of the other three. So you can choose like me, very like me, but you cannot choose very like me.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can do that with the logic, with the conditional logic. Because what we should be able to do is we should be able to say, well, it'll be curious. We'll see how that operates. Because I know that we can say if the value for response to question 1, don't allow the value given for the response to question 1 to occur on question 2. Though what I'm not sure about, and I guess we'll find out. We'll have to launch the survey and see. But I don't know if sequencing matters, right? So, well, I think we can do it where, given question 1's response, question 2 can't be that same response. What I'm saying is, people go into surveys and they go back and forth. If someone responds to the second one first, then we'll have to build in a logic statement about that too. So it's not just...
I can also share the JavaScript that the Alchemer support sent me, and maybe we can translate that into R using ChatGPT.
You and ChatGPT.
It's the most quickest way to solve it. It's the most efficient way.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, let's see if we can get it. Do you want to try it crafting, or do you want me to? It doesn't matter to me.
I'm just looking at the script here. Yeah, I can do it, but I'm not on my regular computer.
That's fine. Why don't I do it tonight then, since I already have I'm already linked to the existing survey, so if we wanted to, we could publish it.
Here, I can send you the JavaScript. You want me to put it on the comment or email it?
Well,
Email it.
That might be considered, kind of proprietary to that vendor, maybe.
True.
So
yeah, they do have the name here of the programmer.
Yeah,
Right.
I think let's hold off on that for a second. We can come back. Let's see if we can build something here, and then we can look at the script, and then you can tell us if it looks like we came to a similar kind of logical pattern or not.
Yes.
Let's do that. Okay, so here's our basic survey, and again, the best way to see this, I'm going to take off the ignore statements because I don't want to connect to the database just yet. The preview of our survey is easiest if we go. Oh, I forgot about the death question. You know, one of the things I found out, one of the things, so as we're talking about using this versus other platforms, there are default values that are coming in for the date question and also for the slide question. So even if people don't respond, it's going to look like they did respond with a do not believe. That's something that we'd want to get a better handle on if we were going to, launch an actual survey. You know what I mean? I don't. We probably wouldn't use a slider anyway, but just the fact that someone who skips this page, they're still going to have a response to this question because it's coming in with a default value. Not only that, but that default value is kind of hidden. You know what I mean? It kind of look. Maybe it's just because we're not used to sliders, but it looks like it almost looks like it's not intuitive with how I'm supposed to interact with that. So, okay, so let's see if we can add a question. We'll just add it to the beginning to make it easier on ourselves. We'll go ahead and take out your equation and the label. Why would we? Oh, geez. You know what, though? We're going to... Oh, no, the label is what's displayed. Okay, that's fine. I'm just thinking if we go back to the database, if we're going to get messed up or not. Can I just say for this, Diego, can I say choose a penguin?
Yeah.
And then for the second question, we'll say choose a second penguin. That is not the... How did you phrase it? That's different? I know yours is different. Like me, not like me, but the what we're doing here is essentially the same. Choose a penguin, choose a second penguin that is not
The same as before?
or that is different from the previous. We'll call that penguins 2. And we'll see if we can just get those in the survey, and then we'll go in and see if we can work on the logic. I wonder what kind of feedback we're going to get on this as well. Do you want those? You want those displayed horizontally, Diego? Because
Yeah, that would be better from a visual point of view, because that way they can see like side by side. They would see. In the same column, you would have what's the first penguin, the chimp. I don't know about penguin species.
chin strap.
Chinstrap. Yeah, they would see that on the same column, and it would just be the actual label would only show up once, and you would have the 2 radio buttons below, and so on. I think you need to search for radio button grid.
They have this matrix. I'm guessing it's that. We could also try MC buttons. We haven't tried that yet. Let's just see what that looks like. So I'm just going to change the question types on these to MC underscore buttons. Save that QMD, and then reload the app. That's not bad, right?
Yeah.
All right, we can go in and we could do a matrix on that if we want to. I think for now, let's see. So right now you can do chin strap on both,
Yep.
and we want the logic to not permit that. So there's a couple of ways I think that we could do that. I think there's an SD show if. Let's see what other conditional logic options we have. So conditional control. They have extensive documentation on this help page. Or site, rather. So I was at first thinking show if, but we don't want to show if. We just want to build a conditional statement, but we don't need the show. You know what we could do? You don't want this, so we're not going to do it. But using that show if, we could hide the second question until, let's try that. I know you don't want this, but let's try it, just because I'm kind of curious as we're playing with this here. So we could have that second question shown if, and then we'll take it out. So we're going to say if the input on, where is, the first question is penguins, second one's penguins too. So if input on penguins shoot. We'd have to build 3 different question types. To do what I want to do, we'd have to build 3 different question types. I guess we could see if we can put them all in the same chunk here. Not sure what that does. 2, 3, 4. So we would just take off one of these options on each one. I guess we need a 5th. And I know this isn't what you wanted to do, Diego, but let's see if this let's see if this gets us anywhere. Because then what I'm thinking is we could build in if input penguins equals chin strap. So that's going to be on the right side. So it's going to look at the values that we have stored. So I just want to make sure that I'm spelling these correctly. So if it's that, then the tilde is saying, then display this question. So then we want, which one did we create? So we want to take off chin strap. So that would be penguins 2. Now I should be able to, supposedly, with a comma, put in multiple. And again, this isn't going to be efficient, and I know this isn't what you want. I just want to see if we can do it. So then I have Chili, Woody, and Gentoo. By the way, these when I was reading the documentation, it looks like all of these responses are coming in as strings. So even if we think we're collecting a number, that number is going to come in as a string. So that's going to affect how we make these statements like this. Okay, so let's run it and see if we screwed anything up here. Oh, didn't like something. I got a comma. So often with those mistakes, it's like a trailing comma or period. Used to be spaces, but R doesn't care about spaces. Seems to be taking a little bit of time here. There we go. So, do you see what it's doing there, Diego?
Yep.
So that would be one. That would be one option, but I know that's not the format.
I mean,
It's
yeah,
not.
that kind of works. It removes the previous statement. That might actually even be better because it doesn't. That way, it's you don't it removes it for you. So I don't know. It's a bit
Well,
more intense actually than what I have.
because that's kind of one of the questions I guess I had was whether we can, whether we're going to be able to force it with the radial buttons, if we're going to be able to force it. So let's try. Let's try. Let's try it more consistent with what you kind of had specified there. And I think we might want to just to
Because
get them next.
with what I have, you need to have instructions. Otherwise, the user is just going to be confused whenever he picks the same option and it doesn't let him. But with this, since it just removes it, it doesn't appear as an option in the first place. Then it's a little bit more advanced, I think.
I'm going to put your radio button on top of each other. It looks like that is a matrix question type. So our QMD file is getting a little big now, but that's okay. So let's amend this a little bit. So please indicate, what was your wording?
Ready?
Yeah, let's do something more consistent with what you have.
Let me
Your
check.
level of agreement with the statement.
What
Or
I
no.
have is rate how much each statement is like you.
We'll put that in italics. Note that you can only use. That's a horrible way to phrase it, but you know what I'm talking about. So we can probably just leave those in there, and we can do not at all. Right? I'm guessing you have.
Yeah, not at all. It's like me and unlike me. So it'd be very like me, very unlike me, and very unlike me.
You only have three options?
4. So the first one would be um, very like me.
Oh, okay.
Second would
Whoops,
be
what did I
like
just
me.
do? Sorry, I just did a bad copy and paste there. So first one would be like me, you said?
Very like me.
It's kind of silly because it probably doesn't matter that much, but I'm just gonna put very for our because we're gonna have to condition, I think, on this right hand bit, so I'm gonna keep these short.
Can it be a number?
It
Like
can,
four.
yeah, sure. But again, those are in as strings, not numerics. So but yeah, we can
That
do a
one
number.
would be like me. And then it would be unlike me.
Gotcha. Okay. I think I get your pattern now. I can. Oh, and a hard keyboard time here tonight.
And I didn't come up with this rating scale, but it's what. And I didn't come up with this type of item either, this forced choice hybrid.
Yeah, but it's interesting because we don't. Um, there's not all that many innovations that we get in this kind of field.
Yeah, and I did the study, and it has good. And the effect sizes between the honest and faking instructions are smaller if it follows this format instead of a regular Likert scale.
The faking is less, you're saying, with this?
So I had two conditions, right? Two experimental conditions. One's they were instructed to respond honestly, the other one dishonestly. And the effect size for people using this hybrid Likert format was smaller than people just using a regular Likert.
Hmm.
So meaning that there's less difference between those two conditions, faking or not, if you're using this format than if you're using Likert. So people fake less, a little
On
bit.
the traditional, they fake less.
No, on this one, on the hybrid, because it has the forced choice element.
Huh. Okay. I wonder if that's good. I mean, there's more cognitive, like, there's more of a cognitive load on this, right? You have to think about it more.
Yeah, you have to choose between the two statements. So yeah,
Okay. So let's see if we can get our conditionals here. So we don't want a show if on this. We want a block if. So the show if is nice and easy, but we should be able to also just kind of block out some of the response options on the other one. I have a screen out. Skip if. Again, they're using skip. SD show skip. Here we go. Conditioning on question answers. This is the one we want. I should have known. One of the most common situations is conditioning on the. No. They're still sending to a different question, though. So they're framing it all within this show if. We just want to block. Here's what they're talking about strings versus numerics. It almost looks like we might almost have to go with this. No, we could build. Here's what we might have to do. We could build our own function. Um, but they're still passing it to the show if or skip if. So it looks like, at least the way that this is structured, Diego, it looks like we're constrained to um, the showing. You know what I mean? So that second question, whether or not it's displayed, is conditioned on the response up here.
Hmm.
Can you think of, or anyone watching, can you think of a way to condition based on response that doesn't, boy, it's that whole show thing that's kind of really getting me. We could do a question skip, but I'm not sure how to block one of the responses. I wonder if we could add some markdown to the way in which the survey options themselves are being rendered. So what I'm thinking is, like, just add some black to the background of one of these options. I don't know. For now, I think probably the way to go is that first one that we did that isn't all that efficient, but we baked in 4 different second options based on how you respond to the first one. Now we should be able to do that with this as well, with this type. Or can we? No, we can't really, because the whole matrix is coming in as one question type. So I don't think we actually could. All right, Diego, you're saying this is probably good enough for what you're thinking?
Yes. So do we have the help for SD question? Maybe we have more options where we can like tweak with the options. If you do question mark SD options.
You want SD question maybe?
I mean, yeah, question.
There's a question, there's a display question. Let me see if I can bump this up a little bit. I don't know if that helped all that much. You know what? Does that global option not work in the, what is my lower right hand pane? I don't think that changed anything. I think it changed my script. Huh, I never knew that. Okay. Various types of survey questions, type ID, there's a label field. Oh, there you go, direction. So we should, if we want to go up to that first one, instead of MC buttons, it looks like I already overwrote it. So when we just had MC, you were thinking that maybe...
Yeah, having it or horizontal instead of vertical, the options.
Let's change this to MC. We'll see if we can add a direction.
Look, there you have an argument there. That's label select.
I can't type tonight. Sorry, can you say that again? Oh, label select. Okay. Let's see what that is. The label for the select input. I think that's just saying that maybe that's not. That's probably saying if you don't specify a label of your own, then that's what it's defaulting to. So if we left one of these empty, so we can try it with the first one. Sorry, it's probably people are getting seasick probably with the way I'm trying to navigate this. But the first question, if we just take the label off, I'm guessing it'll then just say choose an option instead of choose a penguin. Uh-oh. Didn't like something. I really don't like this hot chocolate. So it looks like it didn't like... Oh, shoot. I'm so used to just rendering. Boy, it looks so different. It looks so different in that preview window. We know that this is potentially misleading. We found that out, I think, the second week we were looking at this. But it looks so different in the preview window than it does when you run the app. Let's see if it's just that label that's throwing us this error. Yeah, it seems like it doesn't like. Seems like it does not. Now where's all my stuff? It doesn't like it when we leave label off. So label select. I don't think that's what we wanted. We did want to. Sorry, we're doing so much jumping around here, but you did want to try the layout, right, Diego? I don't think we ever checked that. So we were going to try an MC option. I'm going to move this up to that first page so we can actually see it a little better. The other thing we know is that we can have multiple items specified within the same code chunk, so that's kind of nice. Okay, so here's the vertical. Let's see if we can try horizontal. Let's see if I can spell these right. My spelling tonight is atrocious. It doesn't look like that's going to be operative with the MC type question. So if we wanted to go horizontal, looks like we might have to use those buttons. There are a lot of options though here, aren't there? Some of these are dependent on the type of question asked, it looks like. Oh, we could, okay. So individual, are we individually styling buttons in a group? I'm wondering if that's something that we could play with. I don't know, are you seeing anything else in here, Diego, that might be, that we could maybe use?
No.
You know, there's also a drop down type of item. So if you didn't like, I got so many windows open, I'm losing. If you didn't like the appearance of the penguin question, we could do it as a drop down. But actually, the more I think about it, this, like you said, this might help in terms of the way that you otherwise would need to try to communicate with the verbal instructions. You know, that if you select one up there, you can't select one down here.
I think it would be also less cognitive load.
Yeah, I mean it's because it's more on the thinking of the algorithm and less on the thinking of the respondent, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we went longer with that than I thought we were gonna. Um,
Well, we kind of got it working. It just looks different.
yeah. Well, that's the other thing we were gonna play with is kind of working on the feel and look of things. So I don't know, maybe one more. I think I'm probably gonna do a live stream next week. I don't expect anyone else to come or show up because it's Christmas Eve, but maybe I'll hold off on that. Maybe next week I'll just do something fun because I would like your input. I think on the playing with theming and the other stuff that we were gonna do with this. So I think maybe we won't do that next week, but then the week after, if you're available, maybe we can come back to this for one last hit.
Okay.
Because the other thing that we were gonna do tonight, and kind of ran out of time, was to put images in these response categories. That actually might be a pretty quick one. Let me see if I can. Let's see if we can do that kind of quickly here. So I know that I saw, it's probably in the HTML formatting section that we just looked at, but I know that in some of their demos, they have pictures of apples. So here's that leaflet example, Plotly example. That's super cool. There we go. So they are defining. Ooh, okay. So they're actually doing quite a bit of code here. So they're defining some R objects, and then looks like they're calling up those R objects with this option command. So let's see if we can apply this general kind of idea. And it doesn't look that bad actually. So we'll do this with our penguins. Let's see if we can find our penguin question.
I have to get going now.
Okay. Thanks, Diego.
Okay, see you later.
All right. So we're going to replace the current options with this HTML button options object that we're going to create above. And again, I just want to get some pictures in here. So we'll actually, we'll use the names that we were previously using. Now they're just using the values that are going to be stored. Is that correct? What were they using here? Now that's a little weird. So option underscore 1, option underscore 2, option underscore 3. And they're using HTML code for the images. We don't need all of that. And then they're just giving name. Oh, I see. They're just giving names to them in order here. So it shouldn't really matter. We will try Chinstrap Chili and Woody and Gentoo. Again, in R, the single versus double quotes don't matter. And then I'm going to take off some of this. We don't need, certainly don't need all of this. Option 1, then break. That's a HTML command for just go to the next line. So we'll see the width is also probably going to be useful. So I'm going to get rid of a lot of this. And let's put in a different we'll put in a different image. So we have, what is this? Chin strap? What the heck is a chin strap dolphin? Penguin. They're cute. Let's see if we can use that. So I'm just going to paste it into what looks like the image. In RStudio, I really like this preview that you get on these images. So just to check and see if it's going to come through. Oh, what did I do? And of course it's not. I think what I can do then is paste it into a browser. Yep, it does come in the browser. So chin strap, Chili Willy. Everyone knows what Chili Willy looks like. Or should. How do you not know what Chili Willy looks like? Are you a communist? Copy that image address. We will try to put it in as our second option. And again, a lot of this we don't need. One thing that I've gotten better at, I think, since I've been using R to author things, is HTML. I can kind of read it now. I couldn't before, but it now makes a lot more sense. So, okay, we got Chili, we got a chin strap, Woody Woodpecker. We'll just put a woodpecker in there. A regular woodpecker. I don't have any guests anymore, so I'm going to see if I can get my bird friends in here. That's kind of a cool looking woodpecker there. Whoops. I'm having a difficult time just navigating stuff tonight. I don't know. None of them look all that cute, I guess. It's kind of a cool looking one. Option 1, option 2, option 3. And again, I don't think we need this other stuff. And we actually have 4, so I'm going to add a 4th option here. And we won't format it the same, so we can see maybe if this works, what that actually looks like. We'll go ahead and put the break in there. And again, single versus double quotes shouldn't matter. But we'll try to be consistent with the width. I think that's going to be important in terms of how... oh, I see, because they're using single quotes for the HTML. For the image. My goodness. I'm going to have an early... I think I'm going to go to bed early tonight. Gen 2. Let's look for a Gen 2 penguin. It looks kind of similar to the chin strap, I think. Doesn't it? Look at this one. Looks like he's doing ballet or something. She, he. This indeterminate gendered penguin. Alright, so let's see what the heck this looks like. So this should be laid out horizontally. There's no way this is going to work on the first try, is there? Unless our bird friends are helping us out here. Hey, there they are. Now, one of the things that happened was we could do that again. We could do that again with our conditional statement here, where we're saying what's displayed as options is going to be dependent on what you've chosen in this question. We probably also want to play with the height of these images. But we got images in there. I'm happy about that. That really wasn't bad. Okay, neat. All right, so went a little long tonight. We didn't get to what was the other thing? Oh, theming. Just kind of playing with the coloration and font and things like that. I think we probably will do one more week on Survey Down, because we obviously haven't mastered it yet. And I would like to take another look at the database itself to see kind of what other issues we might run into with the way in which data is collected, other than those default values that we're seeing on the slider and the calendar. We can probably override those or set a different starting value, like a out of range starting value. We could try that, at least how it's coded. But okay, so there are some complexities to this. It's probably not totally unexpected, but there are some complexities that we have to, or maybe have the opportunity to deal with ourselves, instead of interfacing with a vendor that provides a surveying service, which they've already got algorithms in place to do all these kind of little tweak things that we might be interested in actually doing. Okay, I think that's it for tonight. Thanks, everyone. I will do another one on Christmas Eve. Again, I don't know what the topic is going to be, but hopefully be something fun. Maybe we'll just create slides together or something like that. And then we'll come back to this once we're out of the holidays and I can get some collaborators back. All right. Good night.